And here we are back at the allotment again. Lovely day to be at the allotment. And yeah, I just thought I'd make a little video about something I was thinking about earlier today. And that is, what is going on with all the pubs disappearing? There used to be pubs all over the place. We used to have, I think, 5 of them in our village. I think there's 3 of them left now. There's so many things I think that have caused this problem, if it's a problem at all. One of them is that I don't think people can afford to go in pubs anymore. I mean, that's just the economy being tightened and tightened and tightened by consecutive governments. And that in itself is causing quite some problem. But then there's things like years ago, when people started bringing in cheap beer from France. They'd drive over to, from Dover to Calais, fill up with booze, come back, and then they didn't need to go to a pub. They'd simply sit at home and drink the beer that cost them about 3.70 a pint. So that was one thing. And then they stopped letting people smoke in pubs. Well, yeah, I used to smoke years and years ago. I haven't smoked in 25 years. But when I used to go to pubs when I was a younger fella, I'd smoke in pubs, as would everyone else, and well, most people. And it was just part of the culture. You'd go for a beer and a cig, and that was part of it. So once they stopped letting you smoke in pubs, that obviously cut the potential business down. So you got no smoking, cheap foreign booze that you could buy and drink at home, and then the consecutive governments, just throttling the economy for whatever reason, God only knows, and making it that you can't. And even if those other 2 things hadn't happened, how the hell can you afford to go to a pub? I rarely go to pubs now. One of the main reasons is it's £5 a bloody pint. £5. And this is in Yorkshire, of all places. I mean, in London, I've heard some of the prices they pay down there, and I just think, well, why bother? Why would you even do it to yourself? I certainly wouldn't. And so, if I do go off to a pub, I might have half, and sometimes just a glass of water, because I'm a Yorkshireman. So yeah, it's interesting. Pubs are turning into all kinds of things. So I mean, you go round here. There's, let me see, what do they make them into? There's mosques. There's quite a lot of pubs turning into mosques. Child daycare centres. That's quite a big thing that you see them doing now. Some of them turned into. There's one close by us. Used to be a really nice old-fashioned pub. It's now apartments, and there's one in our village that's been turned into apartments. So obviously there's a use for these kind of buildings. Interesting thing though now for me is that when you go into a city centre, there's little micro pubs, right? So just like a little shop front turned into a pub of sorts. And it's interesting because, well, for a start, it's a different vibe, totally different vibe. And I would imagine that the running costs of something like that have got to be lower than having an old-fashioned pub where you've got a massive building to heat and rates to pay and all that kind of stuff on such a big building. So it's interesting that it's changing that way. I think what I'd like to see though is more cafes, like French bistro cafe things, where you can just go and get a little bite to eat and maybe a glass of wine. That would be nice. Yeah, another thing that turning into pubs is restaurants, obviously, and curry houses. God, there's many curry houses already, which is not a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. I do like a nice curry, but there's a lot of pubs turned into Indian restaurants. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's a thing that I was thinking about, so I thought I'd talk about it, and I think that's about all I've got to say on the matter. So I'm going to get off right now, and I'll see you next time.